Hello everyone, this is Evie Merch, and in this video I want to present to you one project that I was working upon. This is the Australian client. Their brand is called Critical Input. And I like to start from the video where, in the beginning of the video, I like to present the capabilities deck a little bit in order to clarify what we will be covering over this video. Let's go to what I do. I always present what I do this graph because my expertise always covers three phases, and not every client is willing to go into all three phases. They don't really need everything sometimes. And in this case, we'll be addressing brand identity and interface design. This client decided to go with the web development themselves. They would love to stay on their own servers, so to say, independent from the third parties. I'm using Webflow for development, so they decided not to go that direction, even though I'd love to. And I'll get to the point. When I'll get to the point, I'll share with you some thoughts. It would be interesting and exciting to develop this process. Why? Because I like the consistency. I like the exactness. So when I build brand identity, I like to convert that brand identity into usually it goes into the interface design. And then I like to code it myself. Though I totally respect my client choice and I understand, I just will to see exactly results, high fidelity, degree, achievement. But I also trust what's going to be after that. Now, let's go and enjoy the process of exploring the whole thing from the beginning. So we'll be addressing the brand identity. This client in Australia, they already existing in the marketplace, quite successful. So what we're doing here is we updating and rebranding them. We're keeping some elements like this logo. The only thing that I did with this logo is to make sure that the ratio is correct. In respect to the titling and the arch. The idea is as a sun effect, sunrise, and I gave them the gradient, and we'll get to the point right away through. So a lot of images I like to get inspired by because they focus on kind of heavy machinery, on kind of energy and matter deliver in business perspective as a chain of events. I like what they deliver, and my goal was to communicate that roughness and making that rough, complex process simple with their brand being in service. Let's go to the branding. So what I also want to say, what I noticed from my expertise being in this industry for 10 years, so to say, doing UX UI for websites, for applications, for platforms and brand identities, what I witnessed is that it's really important, and I'll get to point, I'll show you what they had before as a branding and what we had before and what we will have after in respect to the website. What I noticed, it's interesting to work with existing brands. It's a little bit different approach because we're rebranding and updating with what they already have in the marketplace. And the beautiful part is here that we're updating what they had and they're going to right away apply into the market. So what you see here, what I like is when we take branding and we try to apply it first before we build brand identity guidelines, because that can shape and dictate the right direction because it's already tested right away in the market. So what I mean by that, for example, you can see this stand banner. And let me see, first of all, before I go to the stand banner, let me point out a little bit because they have their brand identity guidelines old and not really that, let's say, user-friendly or pleasant to experience. So I quickly gave this a short update for myself just to agree with them if this is the right direction we go with, because we haven't agreed on the brand identity guidelines. And I like that. That's what I mean, because we can do that later once we applied. It's better because it's already tested in the market. Now, I quickly did update for the logo colors. I gave this gradient and clear space, and I gave the color code. They did have a sand, so I respect what they had, and I'm trying to integrate some contrast. You will see when I'll be showing your website that there's a lacking of the contrast that doesn't make it appealing. So we're working on that. So that was a little bit guidelines development for us to agree with my client. And then we start to apply differently. They had documents, for example, and gradually as I apply, I evolve and I define new elements. Let's say like this one, for example, the glossy effect. Really beautiful element that we agreed and we see that's a great element for the brand identity guidelines. That keeps it modern and knowing the old ways, so to say. It gives the modern look and feel and demonstrating them being up to date. Then they always had this interesting element that demonstrates shortly their kind of chain of events or service system, how they go about service. And we're keeping this as a part of the branding identity. So I'm making it a glossy kind of effect and making sure it's well organized. Eventually, we're of course using this gradient. You can see the stripe of line. We have good imagery. We focus on imagery that demonstrating heavy look and feel, and demonstrating that we are certain in service. And with us, it's easy, so to say. With them, with critical input, is the process made simple. The rough, tough process made simple. That's the approach. And we're using white color most of the time. So what we needed to do, for example, they had a presentation, for example, and we needed to update it and make it a little bit different. So that was the process, also coming up with some icons and differentiation. So the beauty of working with existing in a market brand is that they already have something put out there that we have to convert. So they usually have a copy well done, content strategy well done. That's much easier to work on my side. When we work with startups in the beginning, it's harder because they really need someone who will deal with the copy and content strategy. It's really crucial to pay attention to. Anyway, so I developed, this is probably one of the first documents that I start to work upon, and I do like it. This is what allows us to develop further the style and look and feel. You can see that we apply the sand. I develop new colors for every face, for example, because it became they always had orange, and you will see, and I'm introducing new colors, but I'm respecting this kind of roughness and natural colors like this green or brown. It's a earthy colors, let's say, in pastel tone. So it doesn't make it blunt, and it calls attention and differentiation, subconscious differentiation for the user who's observing the information, as well as curiosity to go for every part, so to say. And icons also speak for themselves. And then I'm using the circle, I develop with images and everything. You can see that this start to take a good direction for identity. We see the, for example, when we talk about supply chain, you instantly know we off the rest and we highlight only one, and that becomes really good document that summarizes everything and communicates about the brand, about their services, so to say. And imagery speaks in consistency to the content that we're addressing. They also have good credentials. It's really important, and we see how it develops further, and then keeping the elements as well as a flyer that we built there. At the same time, for example, for presentation, I explored different covers. Really beautiful to see. I played with different colors also as well for covers, but we decided to go with one color, not to confuse too much, to remain on brand, not to give too much differentiation. But you can see the approach of roughness, of machinery heaviness, of electricity power and water and cleanness, precision, and easy, complex made easy, so to say, pathway. That's the approach. At the same time, we developed many posts for them to start from. So I actually did them templates so they can use them, reuse them, not to depend on me. But the direction and structure is there. So I do develop that on a different templates, like I think the keynotes or like pages or whatever that is. It can be also PowerPoint, depends what they use. And so they can use it themselves, but remain on brand, and different formats I give them to follow. At the same time, posts for like Instagram and everything like that, so they can respect that. It's the beginnery, and then you can see Laura Mipsum, they can continue using that. If they would like to, for example, they can ask me to make sure that it's consistent, or to ask me to select the right photography. We can agree, for example, with my client that, hey, they're releasing those posts, but they really want to remain consistent. Could you actually check we'll be sending you posts, and you just need to check, make sure that the content, the consistency is there, and the right selection of brand identity is also applied. Let me see what else I can show you here. So also with business cards, for example, we have this version, and we have different versions of presenting how to go about it. A little bit blunt, gray, and we can go differently, but we chose the gradient version for this one. And you can see different people are applied also for different individuals in the company. Let's see what else I have here for the branding. So banner was really good to see, and them using actually in a business and office. Really, when they present, go to the presentation places, they have this banner stand, and it's a pleasure to see it's applied in a real world. And we came up with 4 versions for different use. And of course, the social media also was important. So we have different versions a little bit. I think it's, I don't remember which one is. I think Facebook, maybe LinkedIn, and this is Facebook, LinkedIn, and X or Twitter. And I have all of them provided, as well as amateur. And then we can see how it can go with different stripe colors, different imagery. And I also saved for you, it's really a pleasure to see, I saved this screenshot from the LinkedIn, and it's really good to see once it's coming all together applied. And you can see, you can find them on critical input on LinkedIn, and you can see how it looks like, and they follow the guides of imagery as well. It's really good to see that being done. You can also see here a little bit of old version, and we'll be getting there in a second. Okay, so that's the branding. So what I want to say, it's beautiful to apply first, and it's really good. We yet haven't agreed with this client to update their brand identity guidelines, but it's better to do after we have applied new elements, updated their documents, updated the stand banner, updated the social media, business cards, all that gradually start to explore and chisel the sculpture into some kind of clear, detailed, consistent look and feel of a new look and feel, so to say, of this branding. And then it's better, from my expertise, to go in and say, okay, let's collect everything and apply it into the brand guidelines. It's not necessarily the only way. You can go right away into creating brand guidelines, but make sure, be aware that if you will go with branding guidelines right away as a startup or enterprise, and then you will start to apply these, be aware that you probably will need to release a brand identity guidebook, second version of the first one, because on the way, new elements will reveal themselves, and a new composition and connection between elements will as well, even for the development process. Now let's go further. Then we decided to update the website. The time was coming, and I'll show you the old look and feel, and you see that we always start from the sitemap, but because it's existing website, and I'll show you this obsolete website, I will run for this. So I'm of course evaluating what they had. That's always a little bit easier to work with existing, as I say, because they already have and they know what they want to show, people familiar, so it's not from scratch. But I also have some references for myself to see if I'm going in the right direction. Make sure that I'm not missing. So what I will be doing here, you'll see the simple sitemap for this one. Sometimes I will tell you that sitemaps can be really complex, especially for the digital products like applications and platforms. I worked with many things and I will be recording the video sooner or later that will demonstrate you massive complex sitemap. But here is pretty straightforward and simple, and it's really comfortable. So we have home, we'll go to the service, expertise, about us, news, which is CMS, which is the blogs, contact us, and then my offer that was not agreed is to do the success stories that I explored for the references and other competitors, so to say. And I think it's really clever to show the success stories, especially them existing in the marketplace already, and they have enough success stories to share. That will demonstrate there and attract more trust. So that's what I will do. But before we will go, I will demonstrate to you obsolete version of the website, and you can see this is the style that they had. You can agree, I believe, that it's not really having a strong contrast and using one color. It's also overwhelmed with information. That makes sense that they decided to update their look and feel and keep up with the being up to date, so to say. Because, usually we further go in time, we understand that people are losing attention further and further, and span of attention becomes shorter and shorter. And we don't want to scare people with a lot of information. We want to attract and keep them engaged. So it's really important in this case, for example, to make sure that there's a contrast between elements, that there's variety, at the same time not overwhelming information. It can be overwhelming, but let's split that into the different content. At the same time, you can see that a lot of text can be, it's not compelling to read. People don't have attention for that. So this is what we need to improve. At the same time, a lot of info and it's not really imagery. It doesn't really communicate their strength, doesn't really communicate their power of being in the market for long enough and ability to take the tough process, making it simple. That's what we will want to demonstrate. And this image doesn't really communicate that. That is why it makes sense why we want to update look and feel. We want to remain competitive in the market with others as well. So, for example, we can go further. You can see a lot of information. It's not compelling. So you will see what my choice will be to offer for them. But I do respect, I always take the old version that they had and make sure that we update it and make sure that we're not missing important information presented and so on. Like this, for example, news, you can see it's overwhelming. It's not organized. It's not compelling. It's not really, let's say, user-friendly. That is why we'll be updating that. Okay, let's go further. So we have reviewed this part. And you can see I'm always keeping some elements that I haven't used yet. And I'm keeping them with me. You will see also the new color gradient will develop. That's what I mean. As you go and apply, new things will reveal themselves. And I really like this golden sand that will complement the orange gradient that we had. Okay, let's go further to the wireframes. Now, this is an important part. What I like to emphasize with chiseling out the sculpture when we build a website, it's important to build wireframes phase. Now, what wireframes phase means is that we build without visuals. We have branding developed, and now we're going to do the framework. Why it's important is because we don't want to make false subjective judgment. We don't want to say this is wrong thing, this is wrong part, by having this subconscious a false judgment, bias the font towards elements because they aesthetically look better or not. We want to avoid that. So the whole idea of the wireframe phase is to make sure that we're paying attention to the content, to navigation, to ease of use, and nothing is missing or can we remove it or not. At the same time, what I like to do is to make it responsive. So we actually can go for the whole thing with my client and go for the whole prototype and agree if this is the right decision. For example, here you can see the idea was to do the video loop on the background, but we ended up with using photography only for now. Maybe later we'll add that video. So that's why it's important at the same time. It saves budget and time and headache for them and for us not to make too many changes if happen to be we will witness that there are wrong things done further in time. So you see here already the phase of wireframes as a second phase. Usually I have two phases. First is messy and quick. Second is like complete and pretty clear, but we're going to apply our visuals upon. And I like this phase. I like this phase because it clarifies and agrees. So let me quickly run through it. So we just decide I'm not going to be running for the whole thing. And what I want to say also, even in this phase, you will witness some elements will drop off gradually. That is why it's chiseling out the sculpture, because every time, every phase, we reveal something, we explore, like for example, this element will not be reasonable, will not be appropriate. When you test further, you say, okay, it doesn't really make sense. It actually doesn't really help. It actually confuses. So you remove some elements here and there in order to agree. So we can go for the whole thing if we want to. And I'm building in this case also, while I'm not sure with my client if I will be developing, because they're in a process yet to decide, should they want me to develop and launch the website, or are they actually going to go within their organization and not use the third party like Webflow and do it on their own. At this point, I'm still not aware. So when I'm actually developing and I know that I will be coding, I know that I will not be going into the mobile device wireframes design, because I know if I will be doing that, I'm already predicting that I know how it's going to be organized and I'll solve this. But as soon as I'll realize, and they'll be confirmed with me once we'll get to the visuals, let's go there. After the wireframes, we'll go to the visuals. Once I'm already on the visuals, I learned that actually they totally decided they will code themselves. And here I understand, okay, this is actually something I have to respect, and I must present to them the mobile version of how it's going to look like. So this is what I did, because this is where my service will end, and I do need them to have a mobile version in order to achieve the perfect, consistent results without me once they code. Of course, I'm still remaining available for them. Once they'll be coding, I'm available. They can comment, they can ask me for the call, and I can guide them. I'm totally available for that. I never leave my clients. I will always stay until we'll see the right results. This is something of my ethos of working. But I needed to predict that. At the same time, I must say I have 10 years of expertise doing UX UI and websites. Every time I'm building, I know and I see and I predict in my mind and test a little bit how it's going to fit on a mobile device. And that will, and even when we'll be coding, if I would be coding this, there will be new things developed, because the responsiveness also dictates things. So, but if you're a beginner as a designer, I do encourage you to actually definitely go with both versions, mobile and desktop, because you do need to expertise and a good eye to be developed before you will be able to predict that will work out and fit. That will allow you to actually save time. For me, actually, it saves time if I'll not do this. If I know I will be coding. So anyways, so what we did, it's really beautiful to apply. I like this process because when we have brand developed, when we have wireframes developed, this is the time when they get married. This is when we take branding and apply on the wireframes. This beautiful, interesting process. Let me hide the wireframes and get to the visuals. And here we are. It's beautiful to apply that, to respect the branding guidelines that I created, and to respect the wireframes that I developed with my client that was approved, finally to take and get them married together. And even this process is the process of exploring something new. For example, how these things will respond. We see that we develop the opacity level with respect to the branding. That is what's beautiful and great when one person is taking care of all of these phases, because that person, in my case, that I did brand identity, I pay attention to this with precision, perfection, trustworthiness, and consistency. And I continue that to interface design. I explore new things and I register for the brand identity to be updated at the same time. Even when we do development, we also explore something new as we play with full responsiveness. So it's beautiful. And so going further, you can see that we have different, we see this black charcoal color developed. We see this, keeping this kind of really earthy colors like oil or coal color, really beautiful in photography, right? This massive, this space taking, this not afraid to be outside of the frame, so to say, and full size. You can see the outline is thinner than regular thin, and it's just beautiful. And we're keeping this one here. We can develop better. That's the thing. We can go even further and deciding on the video to have a video loop in the background, seeing the dynamic. But this is something also already requires me to do extra work as doing the videography, selecting right photography and videography. And even I will tell you, I had another client that I did the guidelines, and it's called Scala. And they teach people in businesses and marketing and everything like that. And they also in Australia happen to be. But the beauty of it is that for them, I did brand identity, and I'll be presenting later their project as well. I think that their brand guidelines that I built for them includes footage, how to follow the guidelines of photography. And I describe the whole thing in photography and videography. It's beautiful. Same here. If they will decide, if Critical Input decide to continue with me to do, I would love to code this whole thing. I'll tell you later. But the point is, if I will be doing brand identity guidelines for them, their guidebook, I would recommend them to give this. I would give them this footage and videography guidelines as well, where we could select and develop that better. So it's beautiful. So we go like this. You can see in this case, because I'm not developing, I'm making this responsive. If I would be developing, I wouldn't bother making this responsive because I know I will achieve that result myself on a Webflow development platform. But I show it so they can follow it. So we have this, some text is from the website, some text will be dummy because it's for them to check the copywriting as well. You can see how we have proper size, bite-sized pieces and engagement for the whole process. You can see the professional tone and look and feel that makes us to trust them and explore better and contact them. Beautiful, different solutions, different decisions. You can see I'm not blunt, I'm not monotonous. I'm keeping the variety, and I'm adopting the continuous, let's say, slumber of attention, and I'm waking up user attention through the process, because we always have a different, to the degree, disposition of information. At the same time, we're keeping the flow consistent and pleasant to engage with. You can see colors come together, the blur effect glass comes together, photography. You can see the new color gradient, gold sand comes together, the respect to the sun, rise and set. Who we help, also beautifully done. And they can go continue and explore. This is also so far a dummy image because we respect the brand guidelines. Again, with brand guidelines book, I would recommend, and I'll describe how we go about showing people. For example, she's looking, a person who's looking to the camera, and they dressing like this or so, and the colors of the photography should be like that, the quality and so on. So client words, you can ship between them. This is dummy photography as a reference for them, and they'll have to come up with clients. So sometimes it happens that, and quite often I would say it's not really the right choice to go with a copy after design, because we don't want the design and wireframes to dictate the copy to fit. We actually want the copy and content strategy to dictate the frame and the visuals to follow. That's commonly a mistake done. It's possible to go around it, but that is a subject to trap, so to say. We don't really want to be trapped to the how many text you want to write in the section and then reorganize sections so if copy becomes different. So my recommendation, always go with shoulder to shoulder when you do wireframes with copywriter or content strategist. But nevertheless, this is a reality, not always possible. Business is not that easy, and things can go not in the right order, so we need to respond creatively to the situation. Success stories, our latest news. So, and that's the thing. I wish and I hope they will be able to develop the website perfectly as I present and I myself develop. So I know, for example, how I will go about this blogging when we'll go to explore with you. And I will talk with you about CMS and filtering system of search. I hope they can achieve the same degree. And I'll be pointing out once we'll get to the news. So I'm presenting some things. For example, when I'll be coding, I will make this responsiveness not instant, but maybe smooth. And these new things can be, or maybe here it can be plus and minus. And then we can explore and play with different responsiveness to make it more pleasant. That's the further chiseling further. But because they will do coding themselves, I'm ending here for them. And that's the always call to action. I love to end websites with the same familiar call to action sections at the end of every page. So it's familiar. And for them, it's a call and contact us. Stay up to date, and photography really pleasant to see that as a signature. And then it can go to the footer and social media and go up and contact us. Let's see what we have under the services. So you see I'm marking those free as a services, and expertise will be this. Also, I'm keeping that interesting approach to orient. And I think about us will be capabilities. Yes. Our services, learn more, so which will take you down a little bit description. This is really beautiful, so you can shift between those three different icons and text and photography, and you can see this, I think, change marking. Beautiful to know quickly, bite-sized pieces, not overwhelming for the curiosity to click. You remember in wireframes I had those three always here. I decided not to. I'm keeping them separate because for the user experience testing, I see it's much more pleasant and quicker to orient in respect to what they're curious about. Also pleasant, just keeping different colors to address. And then we have this our approach to service, really pleasant, what to expect. So it's overview, just a general explanation of these, then what to expect, really good to know, then our approach to service, also pleasant. You can see we're applying this new gradient. I don't like same, guys. I like to demonstrate the novelty and variety and complementary. So you can see we're applying, and that's what it takes also time to play with different, it does take time to play with different composition and complementary of colors, fonts, and opacity and hierarchy of order, of size, and so on to make it professional look and feel and pleasant. And you can see we have variety. We're first time applying this gradient background of gold, and you can see these even in appropriate opacity. It requires attention and strategy and creativity approach. And here you can see some lorem ipsum and some of them that they had from the previous website. It might be overwhelming. And actually, when I record a video for them to pay attention to the copy, I say it's better if they can dumb it down the text, not to scare people from losing attention to read. You can see these lorem ipsums is my recommendation to go as short as that and maybe even shorter and such. And then client word, okay, really good. And this is the repetitive at the end of the service. Let's go to expertise. Now, expertise is really interesting, so learn more. They did have in a previous website like this, but my recommendation is to have this kind of current work and previous work, two categories. At the same time, the system of search is really convenient. I will do what I do if I will code this. If I will example tap here, water utility, it will automatically show me only those that has a water utility. Or maybe if I'll type the Tasmania or Brisbane, let's say Brisbane, it will show me right away instantly in real time only those current work projects that I filtered here by Brisbane. And it's really convenient because within time, this organization will have a lot of work being done, like previous work, they already have a lot. It's too much to search. So I like this system. That's what I would do with the content management system coding. And I don't understand why people don't use this in development for the blogs and everything, that instant filtering. Without this, 1, 2, 3 clicking, and you see you can go back for convenience, but just quickly filter and find what you need to. It's coming to you rather than you coming to it. It's same like Wikipedia against ChatGPT. Wikipedia is you going to search and explore or Google, but ChatGPT comes to you and brings to you. Same here. You filter thing. You type what you search and you want to see it instead of going and searching for this. So this is my exploration of user experience that I take towards. If I code, I will do this perfectly filtered. And you can check actually the previous project that I did called Elite Cruising and Tours. And you can check their URL. Actually, it's functional there for the blogging system that you can check how I did it. Okay, so, and then what else about us? I love this about us background also photography. You can see it's a kind of mining field, but you can see it's early morning. It's so complementary to what they do. It's rough, nature, clean, roughness, at the same time sunrise or sunset with respect to the brand idea arc or arch, and with a gradient. It's beautiful. Learn more, text about them. I do it about director, main one, then a little bit description of variety, applying the gradient R values, and give our critical input team. And I do want to put it together. I think in a previous website, they kind of had it separate or something like that about us from the team, but I combine them together. It'll be respect to the whole team to have them in one place. And what I also recommended, you can see some photos I removed. Reason being because they were looking too poor quality, and I recommended them. I'm not really showing them here, but when I recorded a video for them, I point out that, hey guys, I really recommend you to do the photo session for the whole team and do it consistently with one set, so you all will look with the same look and feel and with the same quality, and this will make you look better. And if not, yes, feel free to bring them back as poor quality, but that will not make you look good. Your choice, so to say. So that's my approach. And I did my best. I also would recommend in some places just to update me in photography and so on. Even some of those, totally I will update with everything. So that's the thing. And supply chain resources, really beautiful. And we support, they had this support here and so on. Let's go to the news, our news. Here you go, the searching system. So here will be the same. If I'll type, for example, even date, let's say August 2024, it will right away show me only those. If I'll type mid critical input senior consultant and Tasmanian business manager, Bridget, if I'll type that whole thing, there'll be only one appearing right away with Bridget. So, and then you can read news as example. You can say I applied this news, and when I will be coding, if I would be coding, I will do the whole content management system, and my client will be able to, without me, just go into the backend, and I'll record them video how to do that easily. So they will go to the backend or the Webflow, the platform that they use. They'll just have to type the text, like create a new one, new blog, type the title, type the text, and write the whole blog, and then release. And the whole thing will be on brand, aesthetically pleasing. It will appear here with the image that they uploaded, with the title that they wrote. I will usually give the limit of the title, so it'll be on brand in the description and the whole blog, and the timing is automated, and we can go in and check and read, and it'll be all updated on brand. So they don't depend on me, and they can release it themselves. That's how I do about it. So it's really pleasant. This is the demonstration. You can see this thing is sticky, so it follows us, share these news. And this is the dummy for them to follow as the blog, how it should look like. Back to news, you can see it's really convenient. You can always continue reading. You can go back, you can scroll down, you can search. If you're too far down, you of course learn more, but you can just click, continue, read, and back to news. It's really quick to navigate. And then we go to success stories. This is the new page that I recommended them to have. They didn't have this on their older website. It's really beautiful because they're already existing in the marketplace. It's effective to collect what they already have. In reality, why not? So recommendation to show people, same system, and I'm giving these free dummies. I say it's enough to have free case studies. And if we'll review, I say, okay, let's say the type of the business industry, field or title, and so on. And if I'll go into any of them, I think that will be this one. Yeah. So you'll be able to go back or continue reading, and then it's the challenges we faced, our solutions, and key outcomes. Short as that as a blog format, and then also always the word of the testimonial from the person from that organization, and you can go back to success stories right away from here and explore further. So this is the whole thing. Let me go. The whole thing is, of course, to make them to contact you. So we have our contacts, phone, email, address. They can call right away. They can submit the email, and that's it. And I'm putting this one from social media also to make it, again, I like to build some differentiation and variety to abrupt the monotony and complement the branding consistency. So this element is really beautiful at the end. This is what the last thing that they will see most of the time, because this is the call to action, is to impress, demonstrate, to be up to date, to keep them attentive. But also the main thing is they're going to call them or they're going to contact them. And that's the last step. Now, what I also would like to give you a little bit perspective of the mobile version. So I quickly build the version, how it's going to look like. And you can see just every part I just took and adapted to the mobile preview, making sure it'll be right. So they have it, they can develop it themselves. And as I mentioned, I would love to develop that myself. But with respect to their choice, of course, I understand some people really like to be independent from third parties, but I think we live in a world where you cannot be independent. We're all connected, and it's okay to host with a third party like Webflow because it's reliable anyways. As I see, they are really succeeding in the market really well and will be succeeding further. Webflow and Figma, two platforms that I'm using for my services. So that's all I wanted to present to you. I enjoyed this process. You can also see, by the way, the terms of use, term of service, privacy policy, something I haven't showed you. But this is what I have achieved for them, and I'm really happy with these results. As I mentioned, I would love to code it further. I'm totally available if they want me to do that. I'm available for them to make sure that the copy is respectful. And also, if they will be back with me with a brand identity guidelines, I'll be happy to do that, and I'll be happy to present that to you as well. That's it. My name is Eli Merch. Let me see where it is. There it is. And yeah, guys, thank you for your attention. And if you're curious to learn more or connect with me, feel free to connect with me for the LinkedIn, or you can also explore my YouTube channel where I show the different results. I like to present my work, and I like to evaluate work that I think worth addressing, from branding, user experience, and coding. And thanks for attention, guys. Take care. Have a good day.